I can kind of see why other people would. Not me though. Y'all stay safe.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Read, Share, Repeat, where we discuss books from the perspective of an aspiring fantasy author. Me, Carrie Share. And today is the start of another reading vlog, one in which I am coming off of my annual birthday staycation, wherein I tried to read 7 books in 7 days and, might I say, failed miserably. I did manage to finish 4 books, one of which was a reread, and one of which was a highly anticipated sequel. And over the course of that vlog, I learned some harsh truths about myself, particularly about what genres I need to avoid going forward. So you might be wondering why the first book I will be reading this week is Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands, a romantasy, strictly speaking. And that is because I actually didn't mind Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. It wasn't like my favorite. I wasn't like head over heels in love with it, as a lot of the internet seemed to be, but it was exactly the right kind of cozy that is suitable for me. And I really did love Emily as a character. Even though Wendell Bambleby was kind of a twat, I ended up really endeared to him by how much of a simp he was for Emily. And that's the kind of romance I can get behind. And that is why my first ebook read of the week will be Map of the Otherlands. That one is a fairly short read, and so I am hoping if I get that done in time, I will have time to get to Stormfront by Jim Butcher. And yes, this is an old one, and I have not heard the greatest things about this particular entry in this particular series, but the reason I'm reading it is because I believe it has some similarities with my current work in progress, which is also an urban fantasy with a magical law enforcement character. So I feel like it's important for me to take a look at this book and see what lessons I can learn from it. So that is why I have been on hold at the library for it for like 10 weeks, and I am ready to finally get it read. Those are the 2 books I will be reading on ebook this week. As for my physical book, it is time to finally, once again, try my hand at reading Assassin's Apprentice. This has been on my TBR kind of unofficially for like 8 months. I've really been wanting to reread this book because I read it all the way back in like 2018 or 19 and really enjoyed it, but never picked up the sequel. And I do very much want to read more books in the Robin Hobb universe, but with as much time has passed, I think it's important that I go ahead and reread Assassin's Apprentice. This is one of my 2025 priority reads, so I need to just stop pussyfooting around and actually like make it a real priority. I have been kind of saying I'm gonna read it for at least the last like 2 or 3 months officially, and now I'm like, yes, it's happening this time. I've even picked out my color palette for the annotations, which is the other thing I'm going to be doing while reading. I imagine that this will probably take the majority of the week to get through, but I'm looking forward to finally getting this reread so I can move on and read more Robin Hobb. So those are the main books I'm going to be tackling in this vlog. I'm also going to try and listen to the audiobook copy I own of The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. Viewers know I have bounced off this book many times, and yet the universe seems to want me to read this book so badly. It has come up out of my mimic twice in the last calendar year, even after I kind of unofficially said I don't think I'm ever going to read this book as much as I think I might want to try it. So once again, I'm trying again. I don't know if I'm going to like this book, and I don't know if I'm ever going to want to continue reading Joe Abercrombie, but something in the universe is saying, read this book. And so maybe it is telling me that because I'll like it. I've only read like the first 10%, maybe 15%, and I've had struggles with it. I feel very confused. I've tried it both on audio and on ebook, and neither I felt especially like drawn in by. And so I'm just gonna start trying to listen to a chapter a day or just a little bit every day so that I can just get it over with and get it off this list. It's also a 2025 priority read under the category of books I think I won't like. So I don't anticipate finishing that book in this vlog unless something, I always say unless, but there is no unless. I do not anticipate finishing an audiobook in this vlog. But those are the 3 books, and one audiobook that I will be reading over the course of this next week. So I will be checking with you guys throughout the week to let you know how my reading progress is going.
Good morning. It is now Wednesday morning, and as you can probably tell by my lack of updates, that reading has not been a high priority for me as I get back to work. Monday, I didn't read at all. I spent like my entire day at work catching up. I had like over 150 emails I needed to answer, and that was pretty much my whole day. And then like I had two, like my main, the main two people I work with were both out, so I had people who were not always here in the office with me, who are out of a different office normally filling in. Anyway, it was just a day. And so I went home and I sat down on my couch and I just stayed there for like 4 hours. I didn't do anything. I didn't get anything accomplished. And that's not true. I edited a video, but still. So yesterday, Tuesday, I did get a little bit of reading done. I read the first 20% of Emily Wilde's Map of the Other Lands. And what I will say about that is I get the same just like fun, cozy enjoyment that I got out of the first book. So I'm hoping to read a lot more of it today. Like I said, it's not anything that's going to like be on my favorites list, but it's just nice to be able to read a book that just is relaxing. A lot of times fantasy is tense, which is actually the kind of fantasy I prefer most times. It's very tense and it's very like propulsive, and there are definitely moments where your emotions are being pulled on. Emily Wilde, at least in the first book, of course there were moments of tension, but I don't know what this says about me, but I was just like, okay, it's not that I didn't care. I was just like entertained. I was just pulled along for the ride, and that's kind of nice every once in a while. I'm never going to be a big cozy fantasy person, but Emily Wilde seems to be like the precise amount of cozy that works for me. I'm hoping to get a lot more of that read today. I don't know that I'll finish it, but I'd like to get up at least to like the 70% mark maybe, but we'll see. And then I did read most of the first chapter of Assassin's Apprentice. I'm worried about that one. I'm worried that's going to take me more than just this week, just because it's so, I don't want to say dense. It is a little bit dense, but it's very slow, and it doesn't pull you along in the same way. And it's my physical read this week, and I just read physical books slower when I'm back at work and I've got other things going on. So I'm gonna try and get this book finished in this week, in this vlog, but I have my doubts. For sure, I'd like to get Emily Wilde finished before Friday, and then see about starting Stormfront. Stormfront, I've checked, is also pretty short, like just over 300 pages. So that I can knock out quickly if I can get through Emily Wilde. So that's my update. Not really a big one. Like I said, just getting back into work and getting back into the grind. Like my mental energy has been like gone from just soaking in books for 12 hours straight every day to answering 150 emails in a day. So it's been a little bit of an adjustment. So I'm gonna go ahead and start my day, and I will check in with you later tonight, I hope, with some bookish updates. Good morning. It is now Thursday morning, and I have a quick reading update for you. Yesterday, I was able to get to the 60% mark of Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, and there's really not much else to say that departs from what I said last time. This is really cozy. It's really fun. I think I'm enjoying it a lot more than I did the first one. Wendell isn't being as much of a dick, and that kind of helps. And I think I just like the plot more. So I'm really enjoying it. I hope to have it finished today. It's reading very, very quickly. It's very propulsive. It's just fun. It's just fun. So maybe I am getting on the Emily Wilde hype train. I think I gave the first one 3.5. This one is definitely trending higher. Definitely around a 4. We'll just have to see how it wraps up. And then last night I got to about like the 10% mark of Assassin's Apprentice. And what I am noticing about this one is that it's so dense. It takes me like, I had an hour to read, and normally I read about 50 pages an hour. And I think I read maybe 30-ish. So it's taking me a lot longer to like read through, and I am trying to annotate. But the other thing about that was I'm going to annotate, and then I couldn't find anything I wanted to annotate. Like I went like 30 pages between annotations. So I'm at like page 52 out of like over 400. So this one is going a lot slower than I expected, especially since I've read it before. So anyway, it's slow going. And it doesn't help that I've been kind of in a mental slump since coming back to work. I talked about this on my other channel, but like being on vacation last week and doing all my writing and doing my content creation and reading and everything just really hammered home how badly I want to be a full-time creative, and yet finances does not accommodate that. I have to be working. So until I can grow an audience and sell a book, I have to work. And so it's been kind of like a mental drain. So like last night after I got home from my daughter's appointment, I like laid down in my recliner and went straight to sleep. And then I woke up around like 10:30 and got in bed and went back to sleep. So like I've just been like kind of down. And so reading hasn't been as plentiful. But like I said, I'm hoping to finish Emily Wilde for sure today, and then we'll just continue chugging along through Assassin's Apprentice. So I will check in with you later after I finish Emily Wilde. Hey y'all, it is now actually Sunday morning, and I am just checking in to wrap up this vlog. As you can tell, I have not felt especially up to filming, and I didn't get as much reading done as I wanted to, but I was able to finish Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands on Friday. And I'll tell you what, this book was just so fun. This book is precisely the amount of cozy meant for me, precisely the amount of romance and the precise amount of fantasy. It's almost everything I would want out of a cozy romantasy. And I know it doesn't precisely fit into either cozy or romantasy, but the blend that Heather Fawcett has in these books is perfectly calibrated for me. I think I definitely liked it more than the first one. The first one suffered a little bit from Wendell being just Wendell, but I didn't mind him at all in this book, partially because he's like so discombobulated because of the circumstances that he doesn't have as much opportunity to be a douche. But I also think it's just he's also softened by the fact that we know how much he's into Emily now, and like how much of like a simp he is, and how like he's trailing after her like with puppy dog eyes instead of only being in like the last half of the last book. I mentioned in my last reading vlog that I want a simp romance, and this definitely qualifies. I love it. So yeah, it was just a really good time. I really enjoyed it. I could read probably a dozen of these kinds of books, and I wish more romantasy took this approach. Why do we have to always... Anyway, I'm not going to go on that screed again, but I ended up giving it 4.5 stars. Not 5 because I didn't get the 5-star flutter. I did think about it, but it wasn't like I wasn't so like out of my mind, blown away. I just really had a good time. So 4.5. I might have to buy it. I read both the first two. I got both the first two from the library, and I may end up having to buy it after all. I know the third one is out. That'll probably be a series I wrap up here in the next month or two, because it's just fun. It's just a good time. It is just a good time. And unfortunately, I didn't finish any other books. I am up to the like 45% mark of Assassin's Apprentice, but I have just been, this last week has just been a struggle for me coming back to work. I don't really know what it is, but it has just been a real mental struggle. And so I was coming home and not wanting to do anything at all. In fact, there was one night where I just came home and literally laid in this recliner and slept. I didn't get nearly as much physical reading done, but like I said, about to the 45% mark, which is especially egregious because I've read this before. Now I am annotating it, but like my annotations have been really sporadic. I am reminded of all the reasons I love this book, but at the same time, I am seeing more now of why people think it's too boring. I don't. I love this sort of very, very, very close character study as the character moves through a fantasy plot. I like being this close to my POV characters, so this doesn't bother me at all. I don't find it boring, and I also find the attention to detail lovely. I am not someone who finds this boring, but in the years since I read it the first time, I can kind of see why other people would. Not me though. Y'all stay safe. I will probably finish this book in this next week. I had really hoped to try and knock it out this weekend, but it is a little dense, so I am reading it a little slow. Anyway, so that's all the reading I got done. I did read like the first chapter of Stormfront after I finished Emily Wilde, but it got to be the weekend and I was trying to save all my reading time for my physical read. With that, thank you so much for watching. I so appreciate it. If you like my content and want to support the channel, please like and subscribe, or consider leaving a comment down below. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, please leave me like a fairy emoji in the comments for Emily Wilde. Do I have another video for you? I talked about it a little bit in my last video and the one before that, I think, but I'm really having a hard time feeling motivated to create extra content over here. I just have too much going on. So I don't know that I'll have another video for you this week, but you'll certainly get a vlog at least in 1 week. So I hope you look forward to it, and I will see you then. Bye.